today what we're going to talk about, I want to make a brief video about the AEG or Telefunken E1800/3 radio. I've got this one here that I've rebuilt, and it will be for sale shortly. And I've got another one I'm going to compare against, which is a fully stocked with all the features and stuff like that in it too. The one that I have here is built for voice primarily. Remember, each one of these radios, each radio has its own characteristic. It was built for a specific purpose. This one was more of a voice because you can tell the filters and the features that are installed and the ones that are not, that the voice was the thing they were looking for. This one was built for digital modes. You can tell we'll talk about that when we get to the filter selections and things like that. One of the things, let me go around here to the back. You can see on the side of these, they'll tell you that they're 1800/3. So that's where the label would be. Looking at the back of these, because that is really where the business is here. You have the power supply, you have a couple of other reference modules put in there, and then you have the module that makes the difference in the AGC. It is AGC control. It actually is the RF input also, and it has dual inputs. The top one is for HF, and the bottom one is for AM broadcast and low frequencies, so below 1.6. And then, of course, you have various interface modules as well. There is a blank spot here. As you can see, this is what the top of the radio looks like. You have either empty slots in there because it is actually, it's not, they didn't need those to put in there. They could have get it more affordably. The one over here is fully stocked. Let me get the power cords out of the way. That's pretty nasty. Okay, there we go. You see the far two next to the power supply, which is the black one. You have two units, and I'll try to get in so you can see the nomenclature on those. The TD 1700. It's really hard to get to. And then the other one is the TZ 1700/2. Right. The rest of this is pretty much all the same. Sorry. And the rest of them are interface units and types of inputs and things like that. As you can see, one's a self-test board. That's the one with all the dots going in a vertical line there. So that is how the back of them stack up, and tells you. Now let's go around and see what the difference in the feature is here. Okay, so I'm going to turn on this one, and you'll see your toggle switch. Keep in mind, when you see people say, "Oh, this is just an 1800," as you can see the label, that's not necessarily true. The only ones that are really the first ones, the oldest ones that came out as the /3, had the /3 designation after the E1800. More modern ones they basically went back to the 1800 plate. I mean, you can see that same thing over here on this one. It's the same way. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all the controls and all that, but I just wanted to show you some of these things. Okay, we turn it on, and that's the internal. It's like 1/3. It's like 1:45 local time here, so reception is not great for a lot of stations in North America. Okay, this is going off the internal speaker. And this is when I go to external speaker.
For Android phone or tablet. The other is for Apple iOS phone or tablet and any other device.
JRC.
Under that, you can click on the plus screen button for Mac.
You can hear that. Now you have various selections in the for bandwidths. 10 is the roofing filter. 6 kilohertz, it's an AM filter. 1.5, which is a narrow filter, and a 0.3, which is the narrowest filter, probably for CW. If you go to CW mode, it goes to 1.5, and you can select between 1.5 and it shows kind of a medium and a narrow brand there. So, as you notice, this is not active. The mark and space indicators are not active. That's really what you're getting, that, and also the, see, it gives you an error message when you press that. That's a normal error condition when it says it's not features not there. All of this is primarily part of that digital suite that they actually installed on some of these. So let's look at the other one just for comparison. I'll turn it on. Now you notice, first of all, I can select between this here. That's wide and narrow space, so it'll affect this part. If I go off, if you're tuned, it goes right on the red. That's how you're off tune, off tune. It's off. There we go. So the level meter can be selected between voice and RF line. In other words, AFM line, so you can actually do that. There are a number of modes here. These modes are basically programmed for what's going on inside the radio. So these have a lot of the digital modes. And some of the modes are not there, but this one has a different filters inside it. So 10 is the roofing, 5 is the AM, 0.6 and 0.1, which lets you know that this was, and that's it. That lets you know that this one was made for digital modes that have all the stuff here. So, but again, none of these buttons over here work either. You have to have an external demodulator which plug into those things on the back. You saw there were a bunch of, looked like something you could plug in there as an interface. You have to have those installed for at least for the division and T2I on, and then which direction you're looking at there. Positive, negative. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one, except just because they function exactly the same, except for those digital node differences. So you can see it sounds pretty much the same. So back to the one that we're discussing here. One of the things, if you wanted to change the personality of this radio, you could get yourself those decoders, those 2 modules I mentioned, and put them in. They would install here in this particular slot, and you take the back plate off. There is a bus right here that all the things plug into like that. They just slide them in like slide them in. You can see how they're aligned there, and yeah. Then what you could end up doing is you could go through and reset the radio, and it would recognize that. So you could go function and test at the same time. And I want to do program 00, which is a reset, and just hit enter. And boom, reset it, and it goes back to 5 megahertz. And that's what it kind of does. So then we can go back to where we were. And we're back to where we were. That would actually go through and reset, and so that the CPU, which is in the front section here, would actually be reset to recognize, and it would actually go through and recognize any new boards you put in there. If you wanted to go through and actually automatically do the filters, there's another way of doing that. I'll give you a quick trick here. Go back and do the same thing, except you do 01. And with that, it would go through a whole step of crazy stuff here. It's all the positions of filters. See? The one thing I will show you in a second is when this finishes doing its run there. Both of these radios have a fixed 3 kilohertz upper and lower sideband filters. So, and it does it in a little different way. Okay, still testing. See, put us right back to where we were, and it didn't change. Now, if you changed a filter in here, this is what you do to go back and reset so that the machine would recognize it. If you're going to, this is on AM, we're on the CW, which is Morse code, and that is USB, LSB. See, it's +3, which is for upper sideband, negative side for lower sideband. So, but anyway, sounds better on AM. It's an AM signal. It has both sidebands, so. All right, so that's kind of what we're talking about with the Telefunken AEG E1800/3. The internal speaker is sounds good. Maybe not on that. Let me give you an AM station, and that'll show you how to sound.
When he drives in the 7th run of the inning for the Guardians, who now lead 7-3. Unbelievable.
So you see how that, if you went to 6, narrows it a little bit. 1.5 muffles, barely here to 0.3.
Now Stephen Kwan led off the inning batsman.
But once again, to have this run both AM and FM, you would need to have two antenna inputs. One for like AM broadcast band, like you're talking about, and low frequency, below 500 kilohertz. And then you'd have to have another one for 1.6 megahertz and above. And it goes all the way to 30 megahertz it's an HF receiver. So here's, as is the name says, VLF HF. All right, so there it is. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in comments. These are great radios. Somebody once said back in the day that they're probably the best performing radio, or the best shortwave radio you can buy, or whatever. I tend to agree with that. I've got the later version, which is an A. Functionally, they're about the same. The controls are a little more granular because it's all digital. These are analog machines. These 1800/3s are. So, I hope you like this, and I hope you find it instructive. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll talk to you later.